Yeah, it's 6:30.
I would like to call to order the work session for Tuesday, June 11th. First item is roll call.
Councilmember Corrupt.
Here.
Councilmember Buckingham. Councilmember Garcia. Here. Mayor Greenberg.
Here.
Councilmember Homa. Councilmember Maddox.
Here.
Councilmember Page.
Here.
Mayor Quorum is present.
I need a motion to excuse Councilmember Buckingham.
So moved. Seconded.
We have motion second, all in favor,
Aye. Aye.
any opposed? He's excused. Item number 4. Would you like to introduce Scott first?
Yes, I will. Mayor and council, as I briefly noted in my memo for this particular set of items, we are making proposals to adjust our code of ordinances in a couple of key areas in personnel that both support some of the items in the collective bargaining agreement that we're working on with the fire department, and also support the city following federal guidelines, particularly as it relates to comp time. So we took the opportunity as we were upgrading these for the CBA to also make some adjustments to make them in line with federal requirement. So those are specifically overtime and comp time, the reemployment list, holidays, the PTO ordinance, and then finally the grievance procedure ordinance. So I've included in the packet red line copies of these worked on by both city staff and by the city attorney's firm. And I will take any questions that you have related to these suggested revisions. Note that whatever you agree to will need to come forward as ordinance, and we do need to give an inspection period for staff before that ordinance is brought forward to allow them to give feedback internally on the recommended adjustments.
And we're gonna have to work back and forth between this and the CBA. Making this match that, and we haven't, proved that yet. We can take some small steps here though. In reviewing this. So. Does anyone have any particular questions on this?
Yeah, I have a couple. Mostly just around the hours of accrual. So comp time 106 hours. Is that standard with like other fire departments in the region?
Yeah, so what we've done is both accept their request in this area and make it a full pay period, a 2-week pay period. So previously the ordinance capped it at 40 hours for all staff, which is half of the pay period. So we wanted to update that for all staff to be a pay period, which for all non-fire staff is 80 hours and for fire staff is 106 hours.
Same question for the 648-hour PTO cap. Is that also at least in line with other fire departments?
I've got a list of vacation hours per year for Maplewood, Ladue, Frontenac, and Kirkwood. And Kirkwood is very generous, whereas we provide more vacation hours per year than Ladue and Frontenac do. To give you an idea, but there's only 90 more municipalities in the I don't know how many fire districts there are, fire departments, but so at this point it's not that far off, I can tell. Some of these provisions that are designed to coordinate with the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, we'll be talking about that, so we have to revisit some of these. So on 38-20-246 holidays, item D, full-time employees required to work on a holiday shall be paid double their rate. And is that for all employees of the city?
Yeah, that is correct. And that was an existing provision that we merely clarified. The The original language referred to regular, but not full-time, so we wanted to create a little bit more refinement there. And obviously to respond to the comp time recommendations. We wanted to make this adjustment. But this was, that double rate was already in existence.
And the differences between the 8 and 12-hour shift employees and 48-hour shift employees is based on the difference between 2,080 hours and 2,576, I believe, is the hours for the fire department.
Mhm. And again, if you're looking at the PTO ordinance, the only changes would be to these red and blue line areas. The other items were already in existence based on the revision that was made last fall. So really, we're when we converted from having sick time and vacation time to having just PTO time, and that was combined in a total bank. We didn't consider what folks would do in the first 6 months of employment if they got sick. And this was something that the bargaining team from the fire department pointed out, and something we've been grappling with since the fall. We don't want people to come to work if they're sick, but they no longer have sick time that's separate from PTO. So we wanted to allow them to be able to take PTO within their first 6 months that they have accrued with a doctor's note, so that they're not going to be work sick.
Can you explain the 38-312, the grievance procedure? It looks like 1 through 5 remain the same. So is the only difference that it has to go by what's in the collective bargaining agreement? Okay.
We just wanted to build in language depending on the outcome of the CBA. We need those things to match. So right now, the CBA would reference the ordinance. So we need to make sure that the reference likewise would reference the CBA.
So on 38-166 reemployment, we currently have a 12-month provision that you can only rehire within 12 months, otherwise then you're excluded from the process. Explain to me a little bit more about that. If someone's laid off, let's say during COVID, and they were a good employee, what would preclude them from coming back, a year and a half later?
Financial limitations would be the only thing I could think of. If we didn't have budget to restore the positions.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would be mandatory retirement. It didn't appear to me that I guess the rehire then refers to a mandatory process where you, okay.
Yeah, so the establishment of that list of longest serving first back. But if there are provisions in the CBA that we would agree to, we needed to make sure that the ordinance would reflect that.
Thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions? If that is indeed the case, then we can move on to item number 5, which is boards and commissions. Proposed revisions. As far as the number of members, I know it's one thing here that we had discussed last time, human services, taking that from 9 to 7. There seemed to be consensus on that. Last time, was that something that we still want to do? Consider what the last 2 meetings they haven't had a quorum, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
And the other provision for the Human Services Commission was that we would allow members of the business community on the commission also, as long as it's a neighborhood business.
Yeah.
So I think we're in agreement on that. And it's like 30%. Go ahead.
For the Human Services Commission, I guess based on my understanding of what the commission does, I'm not sure why we need business input there. Maybe I'm missing something. I understand it for several of these boards and commissions, but for Human Services, I don't know that I do.
And I have to apologize because I'm not that familiar with what, with what they're doing. I thought if they're dealing with equity type issues that business input would be helpful. Does anyone that's more familiar with Human Services Commission have an opinion on that?
I just wonder because it seems like the business community already has their own arm that is, I don't want to say similar, but along the same realm of helping the community, right? Don't they have their own nonprofit that they function with, right? It's kind of similar to what the Human Services Commission is doing and creating their nonprofit. Does that seem like a bit of overlap? No?
Do you know what you're referring to specifically?
Right, what's the
SPD?
The SBD has a fund, but it's not, I thought it was just for businesses like to do infrastructure repairs and that sort of thing. I'm not familiar with. Maybe it's there, I'm just not familiar with it.
Business Tax Advisory Commission collects taxes.
No, I thought,
I thought the chamber had, Amber, do you know the name of that?
You're referring to the Maplewood Community Betterment Foundation.
Yes.
The chamber acts as the fiduciary for that nonprofit.
doesn't direct.
No, it has its own independent board that determines how funds are spent.
Yeah, but as far as the SBD, they collect taxes for their own use. They have a board that determines how to distribute those funds and what to use that for. So I don't see a whole lot of overlap.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just wondered how that intersected, or if it even does, right?
I don't feel that, they can elect to use it any way they want, but they have their own needs that they need to address with the taxes that they collect in the district. So,
I don't know that it's necessary that a business owner has to be on that particular commission. If they would like to be, we would love to have them. But I don't know that it's necessary for that commission, especially if we're gonna take it down from 9 to 7. I know that there were some provisions for outside people that did not live in the community were allowed to serve on that commission, but I don't know about necessarily that it has a provision that a business owner has to be on that commission, being that we're a little short on people,
Well, that's,
business owners stepping up at this point.
the suggestion right, Barry, is that not requiring a business, we're just saying it's available. And my thinking was, Nick, and I haven't given a lot of thought. So when you asked the question, I was like, ooh, why? But when I put my own thinking, I guess I was viewing it as a member of the community. And, a lot of our businesses consider themselves very much a member of our community. And I know past iterations of this council have tried to define community broadly, but that's not a hill I want to die on. So there's a strong argument not to do that. I'm all ears.
yeah,
That makes sense to me. If it's not a requirement, yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
yeah,
I'm also just thinking filling seats. I know that's not great, but I think just read a nonprofit report on engagement, and it's like people engaged 30% less than they did 10 years ago. So we have less people in the pool generally.
so, yes, I wasn't intending on being the mandatory requirement. And it sounds like everyone's in favor of opening up the membership to business members if they so choose. So, okay, the other,
Mayor, can we just clarify really quickly? Right now, it says that it shall be composed of 9 members, at least 3 members shall be residents of the city of Maplewood. Is the intent that it's at least 3 members shall be residents or businesses of the city of Maplewood? How do you want to write that?
the way I see it, that the commission consists of 7 members, all of which are either Maplewood residents or business.
Got it.
With no ratio, in other words.
I'm sorry. So the current, and the way it currently reads is that it only requires 3 residents. And so-
Yes, at least 3 members shall be residents.
So is it redundant? I mean, it
There's
wasn't that
no-
already
we're already
clarified
saying for-
maybe with business owners? Right, maybe we just need to like advertise that, I guess, as opposed.
Yep.
Is that already?
There's 4 slots that aren't necessarily business owner or residents anyways, but that's a potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could be, business owners, but someplace else.
It'd be a very empathetic resident of Element. You don't.
But, fortunately, we do have, currently all the members are. from
And I think it's.
Yeah, and so, and I believe in our ability to, govern ourselves, and listen to the voices of our residents and business people. Design and Review Board currently requires, let's see, I'm trying to. 3 business members. And we talked about that being excessive, that we should lower that to 2. Is everyone in agreement still with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
Which one?
Design and Review Board, Historic Preservation Commission, which currently has 5 members. 2 of them shall be business members. And again, if for some reason a 3rd business member, shows up and wants to serve, and we don't have enough residents, we could, if there's a provision for that, unless, we've been operating supposedly with 3 business members for a while. I don't think it would be detrimental to have 3 business members, but I don't think we can require 3 and expect the board to be filled.
Yeah.
And then the last one was the Sustainability Commission, which is currently requiring 2 business members. And we talked about that being reduced to at least 1. Again, it can be, we can have 2, but we want to fill this commission. And currently we only have 1 business member right now. So I'd rather have a full commission and people participating than have a requirement that, and we don't get a quorum every time. So, so the change there would be Sustainability Commission with 7 members. 6 would be required to be residents, and 1 would be required to be a business person. And if and a business person, Maplewood business person could take a seat in lieu of a resident if the board, the council agrees to that. So those are the changes that we discussed before. Is there anything else that that we'd like to address while we're dealing with this?
Just a question on item E. About attendance, are there any changes to that? It's highlighted also, so I'm just curious.
This is an addition. This would be an addition to this particular ordinance, and this was lifted wholesale from what we already have in the Human Services Commission ordinance, which is language that's already been vetted by council. If we were to include this in this particular ordinance, we would need to go back to the other ordinances that have attendance and quorum and membership provisions and make adjustments to those, which would be Historic Preservation and Housing Board of Appeals, so that we were not in competition there.
I'm in favor of that. I was just wondering if we regularly take attendance for all building commissions, because sometimes we've asked and not really known who's there and who wasn't.
Yes, it should be recorded in the minutes, but if we were to pass this, we would facilitate the staff liaisons a process for them to track that more consistently and require it.
Thank you.
I agree with Nick on that.
Yeah. Attendance should be,
Yeah.
some attendance should be mandatory.
I feel like there's an app in our future or software or something. Surely there's some device that can do this for us.
How nice.
Baby steps.
So it's resolved that a member not attending 50% of the regular week commission meetings during the calendar year would automatically.
I seem to remember there was language about excused versus unexcused. That would be 50% unexcused absences.
No notification prior to.
Any other discussion with regards to provisions in the boards and commissions? In that case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. So moved.
Got a motion second. All those in favor? Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. In 10 minutes, we'll start the regular